Now let's use our plugin again, this time to load a family of a manifold. Go to Open or BIM tab, Open or BIM panel, click on BIM library tool. Let's change the market and the language to be the same one as before. After I click download, you can see that preview of our family showed up next to my cursor, and when I click, I create an instance of a family. When I want to create another one, I click somewhere else, and to stop placing instances, I have to hit escape twice. Here's our manifold. First thing I would like to know about is diameters of the connectors here. I want to know what pipes can I connect to it. Connector is a symbolic point on families that represents when one element connects to another. Graphic symbol of a connector is this rectangle with a dot and a cross inside. If I click on the pipe, you can see that all the pipes and pipe fittings also have connectors modeled within them. Here I read that the connectors from the manifold have diameter 16 millimeters. Another place where I can check it is the properties window here. They are mostly 60 millimeter connectors, and we have two 25 meter connectors. These are the side ones that connect to building risers. When we're using our plugin, we have two tools to create families. One is called Pipe Systems, and another one is called BIM Library. So why are they divided into two? We have two types of families in Revit, loadable and system families. So what is the difference between them? A loadable family, as you might figure out, can be loaded, which means that it can be stored externally in its own file. When we are in a project environment, we are operating in the RVT file. You can see here, it's RVT file. However, we also have files called RFA. Those are files that store single families that we can load into RVT file. When I select, for example, this manifold, I can from contextual tab go to edit family. And this opens another file where this family is stored. If you look up, you can see that this file has extension RFA, so Revit family. Please don't make any changes to families yourself. This is just for presentation right now, and make sure you don't change any settings, parameters, or geometry. Right now, the families are prepared with details so that they correctly resemble shape and data of the catalog product. So I'm going to turn this off. So that's a loadable family. So basically a component that we can store outside of our project file. On the other hand, we have system families. So for example, pipes, which means that we cannot store a whole system in the outside file. System families can only be kept in the environment of a project. We call them system families because they are not just a group of components. They create a system of connected elements and connected properties. And we have to tell Revit exactly how to create that system depending on the layout. On the other hand, for example, this manifold will have fixed shape. Of course, we can pick a different type, but all types are pre-modeled. So from type selector, if I pick this type, I have a manifold with 5 loops possible, but it's still not a component that will change its shape or properties based on a layout. However, if I create a pipe, Revit doesn't have to know exactly what layout it will be. It just has to know what rules to apply based on the layout. Another example of a system family is a wall. If you look at this wall, we can see that it's created of specific layers. So again, Revit doesn't know exactly what will be modeled, it just needs to know what are the rules for the system. Here, for example, layers and height. Another way to think of it is that system families represent building components that you would assemble on a construction site. And loadable families would usually represent building components that are purchased, delivered, and installed in and around the building. So this is why we need two tools, one for loadable families and one for system families, in this case, pipes, so that this tool loads families and this tool creates systems in the project. Now let's try to connect both of the elements that we created with our plugin and see if we can draw some pipes connected to the manifold. I deleted the previous pipes. I'm gonna move this manifold a little closer to this section here. Right click, go to view, which opens this section. And here's our manifold. First of all, this manifold is a little too low, I think. Let's change the value of parameter offset from the host. Okay, I think this is better. Okay. We can use connectors on the manifold to draw pipe that are automatically connected to it. So pick any connector, right click, click draw pipe. Before I establish a pipe, let me double check if this is the correct one. I think it is. As you can see, it automatically picks the correct diameter based on the data from connector. This is hydronic supply. And let's see what happens if I do it on the row under. Hydronic return. So also system classification, information about system classification is taken from a connector and automatically applied to a pipe. Let's see in 3D how this looks like. Yeah, this looks correct. Okay, now let's try to do the same exercise but in a 3D. So I will right click on the connector, click draw pipe. Now it won't allow me to draw down, so to create the same pipe shape here, I have to change elevation. And then I can click somewhere. As you can see, it adjusts pipe layout to a horizontal plane. And here, how this looks like. Let's create another section here so we can look at this manifold not only from the front but also from the side. So I'll go to the View tab, Create Panel, Section. And I click, move my cursor, click again, and this creates a section. When you draw a section, you have to pay attention to this box created with a dashed line. This is your section range. So if I go to this view, change to fine, and also let's change this to shaded. I can see the manifold and the pipes. However, if I will move the section so that the manifold is outside of this range, I no longer see it. Therefore, make sure that whatever you want to be visible is enclosed in that range. Let's stop here for a minute and let me just quickly tell you about other options regarding loadable families. So we've been using plugin to load them, but of course there is a native tool that will also allow to insert families, and you will find it in the Insert tab on the ribbon in the Load from Library panel, Load Family. This will open you should open the default location of the library that was installed together with your software. If it doesn't, then you have to find it manually. From here, you can also load components. You can load one or many at the same time, however you want. Just click open. Just remember those are generic families, so they don't represent any actual product from any manufacturer. Another thing that you might find useful is that how to find out if the family is loaded in our project. Because once we load the family, it stays in our project, even if we don't use it. So for example, this manifold, even if I didn't have it modeled, so I don't have anything modeled in my project, it's still available for me to use. And to find this out, I can expand families. And here, an important information again, you have to find the category this family belongs to. So Let's say I don't remember this now. So let me redo this action. I click on the manifold and I find out what is the category of this element. Mechanical equipment. So again, I'm just going to delete it. I'm going to find here mechanical equipment. Expand. Here's our manifold. This is family name. And if I expand it one more time, those are all available types. So family name, family type. But let's say you have no idea what was the category of an element, but you do remember name or part of the name. You can also use the search tool by pressing Ctrl F. And also from here, you can find out that this is the category of that element. If you want to create an instance of a manifold, there are two ways to do this. Either you find it in the project browser, you find the type that you're interested in, and you drag it and drop it in your view area, and you click to create an instance. You can keep creating them or click escape twice to stop. Another way is to go to Architecture tab. In the Build panel, click on Component. And here we have all the available components in the model. Here you can also use search. You can also use Project Browser to find out if you have any instances of families modeled. So if I click delete here, I didn't get any warnings. This means I have no instances of families modeled. Let me redo this. I'm going to create a couple of instances, different types. Now, if I delete, it tells me 3 instances will be deleted, but I don't know of what type. So if I click OK, they will just be deleted, that's that. But if I want to find out exactly how many are modeled, I can expand this, select all types, click right click and click delete, or just click delete on my keyboard, and then I get a warning that tells me exactly which type and how many will be deleted. So for example, 2x type, there's 1 instance modeled, and 8x type, 2 instances are currently modeled. I can also use Project Browser to select all instances, either the ones that are visible in the current view or in the entire project. If you have created a manifold, let's say of the type with 5 loops, you can exchange the type in the same place. So just a reminder here, this part of the properties window is called a type selector. It's called that because we can choose a different type from here. Just deleting a family from a model doesn't mean that's no longer available, which means that there's a special tool that lets us remove families also from our local library. This tool is called Purge, and you'll find it in the Manage tab, Settings panel, Purge Unused. You can run the purge on all categories and all elements, or only the ones you're interested in. Purge Unused will affect all families that have been loaded or created, if they were system families, in the model, but are not currently used, so are not currently modeled anywhere. I recommend using this tool periodically, especially if you are working for a longer time in the big model, just to make sure it's not becoming too heavy. Let's see. And it's nowhere to be found. Just gonna redo this. But this is how you use this tool.